Hi everyone, welcome to UN Digital class. Good morning to all of you. Today we are going to discuss on a subject that is business and corporate law, and on today's discussion we are going to concentrate the chapter that is Indian Contract Act 1872. Here we are going to focus on what is contract, what is agreement, what are the essentials of a valid contract, what is offer, acceptance, rules regarding offer and acceptance. So listen carefully, we will discuss one by one. So before going to details the Indian Contract Act, first we are focused on what is the objectives of the act. The objective of the Contract Act is to ensure that the rights and obligations arising out of a contract are honored and that legal remedies are made available to an aggrieved party against the party failing to honor his part of agreement. The Indian Contract Act makes it obligatory that this is done and compels the defaulter to honor their commitment. So the objectives of Indian Contract Act is to ensure the rights and obligations arising out of the contract which are honored and legal and that are made to an aggrieved party against the party failing to honor his part of agreement. So the Indian Contract Act makes that obligatory, and that is done and compelled the defaulters to honor their commitment. So whenever any problem arises during the time of a formation of an agreement, so based upon that the Indian Contract Act makes it compel that it is obligatory that must have been done the defaulters to honor their commitment. So what is the extent and commencement of Indian Contract Act? The Indian Contract Act extends to the whole of India except Jammu and Kashmir. This act came into force on 1st September 1872. The Sale of Goods Act was repealed from this Indian Contract Act in 1930. Contract relating to the partnership were repealed in 1932. So Indian Contract Act includes everything except from Sale of Goods Act and Indian Partnership Act. The Indian Partnership Act that was established in 1932 that was repealed from Indian Contract Act, and the Sale of Goods Act that was established in 1930 that was also repealed from the Indian Contract Act, and this Indian Contract Act extends to apply to the whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and that was established on the first day September 1872. So what is the present Contract Act? The basic principle of a contract that relates to section 1 to section 75. Then the next part, that is indemnity and guarantee, that is relating to section 124 to section 147. Next part relating to Indian Contract Act, that is bailment, which is relating to section 148 to 181. And the last part that is relating to Indian Contract Act, that is agency, which is relating to section 182 to 238. So now we are going to discuss what do you mean by contract and what are the basic part relating to contract. So according to section 2H, a contract is defined as an agreement enforceable before law. So contract that is defined under section 2 subsection H. So as per section 2 subsection H of Indian Contract Act, we can say that contract is an agreement and that agreement must have enforceability. The agreement which is not enforceable by law, that is not called as a valid contract. So contract is an agreement enforceable by law. Second one is what is agreement? According to section 2 subsection E, every promise or set of promises forming consideration for each other. So promise or agreement is defined under section 2 subsection E. So that defines that every promise or every set of promises when that forms consideration for each other, that is called as a agreement. When a promise is made between the parties and that forms consideration, that is called as an agreement. Then the next part that is relating to what is promise. So promise is defined under section 2 subsection B. When a person made a proposal to another to whom proposal is made, if proposal is assented thereto. Section 2 subsection B defines promise. So promise means a proposal when it is accepted, that becomes a promise. For example, if X offers or gives a proposal to Y to sell his horse and Y also accept that proposal to purchase the horse with the necessary terms and conditions made by X, in that case that proposal becomes accepted by Y and that is called as a promise. So proposal, then the next one is offer. Proposal or offer, that is defined under section 2 subsection A. When a person made a proposal, when he signifies to another his willingness to do or abstain from doing something. So offer is a proposal and that is defined under section 2 subsection A. Proposal made by one party to another to signify his assent to do or not to do something. So proposal, when it is made by one party to another party to do something or not to do something, that proposal is called as a offer. So agreement is equal to offer and acceptance. In sum totally, we can say that agreement is the sum of offer and acceptance. There is one term which is known as concessionus ad idem. So what is that in Indian Contract Act? This is defined under section 13. A meeting of minds or identity of minds or receiving the same thing in the same sense at the same time. So concessionus ad idem represents that when the minds of both the party must be same thing and at the same sense and at the same time, then in that case we say that there is concessionus ad idem. The minds of both the parties must be at the same time and in the same sense. So there is one important part that is relating to all contracts are agreement, but all agreements are not contract. We say that contract is an agreement and agreement must be enforceable. So according to this, contracts are agreement, but agreements are not contract. Any agreement are not contract, but contract means that must have been agreement and that agreement must be enforceable. So this is defined under section 10 and the essentials relating to that of a valid contract is signifies that all contracts are agreement, but all agreements are not contract. So we can say that contract is agreement plus enforceability before law. Where there is a contract, there must be an agreement, and where there is an agreement, if the agreement is enforceability before law, then that is called as a contract. If the agreement is not enforceable, then we cannot say that is a valid contract. So what are the essentials of a valid contract? The essentials of a valid contract or the term or the statement, all contracts are agreements, but all agreements are not contract, that is defined under section 10 of the Indian Contract Act 1872. So the main essential elements of a valid contract are, first one is offer and acceptance, second one is intention to create legal relationship, the third one is concessionus ad idem, then consideration, then capacity to contract, the free consent, legality of object, possibility of performance, writing and registration. So one by one we will discuss everything relating to the elements of a valid contract. First one is offer and acceptance. So when a contract is called as a valid contract, there must be an agreement, and agreement must be made between two or more parties. One party cannot make agreement with himself or herself. So when there is an agreement, there must be two parties, and that two parties is called as offerer and a offeree. So offer and acceptance must be necessary to create a valid contract. If there is no offer and acceptance, that is not a valid contract. So here question arises, who is an offerer and who is an offeree, or what is offer and what is acceptance. Generally, offer means a proposal made by one party to another to do or not to do something, and acceptance when the proposal becomes accepted. So the person who gives the proposal is called as offerer, and to whom the proposal is given is known as offeree. So offerer and offeree must be necessary to create a valid contract. The second one is intention to create legal relationship. So to create a valid contract means there must be a legal relationship between the parties. So legal relationship arises in every cases where both the parties must be at a sense to create or to file a case against another if the necessary terms and conditions are not fulfilled. Suppose A and B are two friends. A invites B to attend his birthday party during a particular day at night, but due to some reason A is not able to arrange that birthday party, but during that particular day or birthday, the B, who is his friend, arrives at A's house, and in that case A, due to his some problem, is not able to arrange the dinner party on that birthday. So in that case B cannot file a case against A because these are two friends. So in that case the legal relationship does not arise because that is purely a domestic or social arrangement. So where there is a domestic or social arrangement, in that case there is no legal relationship. So where there is no legal relationship, so that is not coming under the valid contract. So legal relationship means A wants to sell his car to B for rupees 50,000. B accept that, but after providing 10,000 by B, A is making any type of defaulters or problems to B. In that case, B can file a case against E, because that is a legal relationship made between A and B, and in that case B can file case and take necessary judgment or decision, and A must have to repay the amount which has taken from B, or must have to sell his car to B for rupees 50,000. So the next one is concessionals ad idem. That means the minds of both the parties must be at the same time and at the same thing and at the same sense. If there is no concessionals ad idem, then that is not called as a valid contract. So there is one example. Suppose A and B are two friends. A having two cars, one is relating to Maruti 800, second one is relating to Wagoner. So A wants to sell his Maruti 800 to B, but B is interested to purchase Wagoner from A. So in that case, the minds of both A and B are not same, and in that case there will be no valid contract formed, and nobody cannot file a case against each other. The minds of both the parties must be at the same thing and at the same sense and same things that must have been necessary to create concessionals ad idem. If there is no that, then in that case that is no valid contract. The next, that is consideration. So consideration means something in return. That means giving something and getting something. So if A wants to sell his mobile to B for rupees 5,000, and B wants to purchase the mobile by paying same 5,000. So here A's consideration is to sell the mobile and get 5,000, and B's consideration is to purchase the mobile and pay 5,000. So something in return must be necessary to create a consideration. If there will be no consideration, there will be no contract, or that is not called as a valid contract. The next part, that is relating to capacity to contract. The parties to contract must have to capable to enter into create a valid contract. If the parties are not capable, or they are not enter into create a valid contract, then in that case the parties are not capacity or competent to contract. So to create a valid contract, the parties must have been competent, and the competent parties must be a person who is a sound mind, and who is a major person, that means 18 years or more than that, and who is having not disqualified from contracting any law. If there is no such type of things, that means a person is a minor means he is not enter into contract. A person of unsound mind is not competent to contract. A person who is having disqualified from any law also not competent to contract. Then the next is free consent. The consent of both the parties must be free, and if the consent is not free, in that case the contract is not called as a valid contract. So consent free means there must be coercion, that undue influence, misrepresentation, mistake, fraud. If that type of agreement or a situation arises, the consent is not free, and when the consent is not free, the contract is not called as a valid contract. There must be free consent of both the parties during the time of formation of agreement. Then the next one is legality of object. The contract to whom the parties are entering into, there must be an object, and the object must be lawful or legal. If the object is not lawful or legal, then in that case the contract is not called as a valid contract. Suppose X and Y enters into an agreement to make a robbery during a particular day or during a particular time, and in that case that is not called as a valid contract, because the object for which they enter into form an agreement, that is not legal. Creating a robbery or creating dacoity or committing suicide, this is not legal object. So if the object is not legal or lawful, the contract is not called as a valid contract. Then possibility of performance. The contract must have a certainty and a possibility to perform. If the contract is not possible to perform, in that case that is not called as a valid contract. Suppose X said to Y that if you will make two parallel lines to meet at a single point, then I will pay you rupees 10,000. So two parallel lines cannot meet at a single point. This is not possible to perform on the hands of Y, and in this case the contract is not called as a valid contract. So to create valid contract, the contract must have been possible to perform by either parties. Then writing and registration. To create a valid contract, there must be writing and registration where necessary, that must have been implemented. If the writing or registration where necessary is not taken into consideration, then the contract is not a valid contract. So during the time of a sale of a car or a transfer of property, registration must be required or written documents must be necessary. If that is not fulfilled, then contract is not called as a valid contract. Then the next part, that is classification of contract. The contract classified accordingly 3 parts. One is legal effects, second one is performance, third one is formation. According to legal effect, there is valid contract, voidable contract, unenforceable contract, illegal contract. According to performance, unilateral contract, bilateral contract, executed contract, executory contract. According to formation, express contract, implied contract, quasi contract. So we will discuss one by one. According to legal effect or based on legal effect, the first one is valid contract. That means all the essential elements laid down under section 10 of the Indian Contract Act, if that is fulfilled, then that is called as a valid contract. Invalid, if any one condition is not fulfilled. So whatever we are discussed as per section 10 of Indian Contract Act, if any one is not present, in that case the contract is not called as a valid contract, that is invalid. Is void or void ab initio, an agreement which is not valid from the beginning. Void ab initio means starting from the very beginning. If from the very beginning agreement is not valid, that means agreement with a minor is called as a void ab initio, because from the very beginning agreement when formed with a minor person or below 18-year-old person, that is void ab initio. Then becomes void an agreement which is valid in the beginning, but due to some supervening impossibility the contract becomes void. That means the contract or agreement formed between India and Pakistan during the time of peace, that is valid, but when wars breaks out between India and Pakistan, in that case during that subsequent it becomes impossible to form a valid contract, and that is called as becomes a void contract. Then voidable contract, a contract which is valid unless and until avoided by either party. If unless and until the contract is avoided by either party, then that is called as a voidable contract. Next one is illegal contract, an agreement forbidden by law. It involves the commission of crime or violate public policy or immoral in nature. So agreement to create dacoity or commit to suicide, or agreement to form any type of bad activities which creates harmful to the society, or to create any immoral nature activity or prostituted activity. So all types, that type of agreement is prohibited by law, and that is called as a illegal contract. The next one is unenforceable contract. It is valid, but due to some technical defect the contract becomes void, and in case of defects are removed the contract becomes enforceable. So lack of registration, lack of a signature, this is if it has been made, this is some technical defect. So when that technical defects arises, that is unenforceable, and when that technical defects removed, then the contract become forcible or enforced or that taken into consideration. The second part, that is based on formation, that is called as express contract. So when contract is made either written form or in oral, that is called as express contract. Express contract arises in the form of written documents or either through spoken words between both the parties. Implied contract arises out of the behavior or conduct between both the parties. Suppose one person attends or enters into a hotel room and order the hotel boys to make the lunch party or dinner party. In that case, the hotel boy supplied the necessary meals or as per the prescribed menu, and after that the person who ordered that, and they must have to repay the total amount of lunch to the hotel boy or at the cash counter. So this arises out of the behavior or conduct of both the parties, and that is called as a implied contract. Then quasi contract, the third one is quasi contract. So quasi contract means where there is no intention to form a contract, but the law forces it to enter into an agreement or to form a contract. That's why it is called as a quasi contract. Suppose in a college there are two friends having same name. One friend makes order for a particular book through courier, and the courier boy enters into the college and provide the person to the other having the same name. But if the other person who is having the same name but not order the book, if the book is received by that person, then he must enter into an agreement, otherwise the book must have been refunded to that courier boy by the person who has not the make the order. So that means the law enforce, if you enters into, then you must have to obey the necessary terms and condition applied in the contract, otherwise you have to avoid that. Then the last part, that is based on performance. One is executed, that means it is a completed contract. In a contract where both the parties have formed their obligation, there remains nothing to perform. Both parties have completed everything, so there is nothing to do by either parties. That means that is a completed contract. X wants to sell his mobile to Y for rupees 5,000. X already sell his mobile and Y already paid the necessary price of the 5,000 to X. So in that case, both having completed everything, so there is nothing to do. So that is called as executed. Executory contract where both the parties are yet to perform their obligation. So either one party or both the parties are yet to perform something, or that is performed at a future date, that is called as a executory contract. Suppose X already sell his mobile, but Y yet to refund the or pay the price. So in that case, that is executory. Then the next is unilateral contract. In a contract, one party has performed his obligation and other person is yet to perform. Uni means one. So when one party already performed his part of promise, but other party is yet to perform his obligation, that is unilateral. X already sell his mobile, but Y yet to pay the price of the mobile. So that is unilateral. Bilateral, in a contract where both the parties have performed their obligation. Bilateral and executory are same and interchangeable. That means both the parties already performed their contract or the necessary terms and agreement, but yet to perform, either fully performed or yet to perform, whatever may be the case. If that is arises from both sides, that is called as a bilateral. Bi means two. So where two parties are yet to perform their obligation at a future date or already perform their obligation at present scenario, that is called as a bilateral contract. So this is all about our part relating to business and corporate law of Indian Contract Act. In our next class, we will discuss the offer and acceptance, the rules regarding offer and acceptance. So we will discuss in our next class. Thank you. Have a good day to all of you.